our prayers to Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. Then we shall begin our discussion. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki jai, Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So before I begin, I would like to ask questions to all of you based on the first chapter. We are ready? If you don't answer, then I will not move forward. Sanyal ji, are you ready?
That will be a difficult situation.
Sanyal ji, are you ready? Not able to hear you.
We are all ready.
Ready?
Yeah. Full
for
team.
all questions, you are ready?
Yeah.
First question to you only. Okay.
To me?
Yes. So, ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Not very difficult, very simple question.
Yeah.
So, did you read all the verses of first chapter last week?
I started reading the chapter 2. But I gone through the first chapter before, but not recently. After means last week I have not gone through fully. I have gone through few chapter, but chapter 2 I have started.
Oh, which means you're not done the homework. Okay.
Okay.
Fine. So please do the homework.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Deepak ji, Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी.
दीपक जी और कल्पना जी, आपने पढ़ा है पूरा चैप्टर, फर्स्ट चैप्टर पढ़ लिया?
प्रभु जी सही बात है कि पहले पढ़ा हुआ है, लेकिन अभी इस लास्ट वीक में पढ़ा नहीं प्रभु जी. मैं थोड़ा बाहर चला गया था एक वीक के लिए, तो अभी थर्सडे कल ही रात को आया.
No, everybody's answer same thing. So last week I had breakfast, lunch, dinner. This week I didn't have. What I can say? Is the right correct answer?
But it is our promise. It is our promise, Prabhuji. It will never happen again.
See,
yes, Prabhuji.
Attending
yes,
class
Prabhuji.
means if I again had to take first chapter again, no, you are not read means what I should do?
But we are ready to answer your question.
Oh, so good. See, that is the smartness of a student. Anyway, and my simple question is, did you read? Answering questions is different. I'll ask a very tough question. It may be difficult to answer. It's a different matter. But simple question is, did you read?
Yes.
We read earlier, but not.
But you should read now. I concluded my session by telling, please read every day. How many verses? Kamaji, Vishwanath Kamaji.
7 verses.
7 verses, no. But have you read? I want you to speak, Kamaji. Vishwanath Kamaji, Shobhaji, unmute yourself and speak. So, no. So what is the punishment I can give you? Punishment is again you have to read this week. First chapter and second chapter.
Okay, we'll do it, Prabhuji. We'll do it. We'll do it. Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
Just,
Yeah, we'll do it.
Taking a small, sample, asking few of you. Bhumika ji, Hare Krishna. You are there? Hare Krishna, Bhumika ji. Not able to.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
आपने पढ़ाई किया फर्स्ट चैप्टर का? Did you read?
अच्छा, हरे कृष्ण प्रभुजी.
आपने पढ़ाई किया फर्स्ट चैप्टर का?
Yes, प्रभुजी, मैंने पढ़ा है, पूरा पढ़ा है प्रभुजी.
थोड़ा
Yesterday I
पढ़ा है.
finished.
Okay, you are a good
नहीं
little
पूरा
bit
पढ़ा
student.
है, पूरा पढ़ा है, पूरा
पूरा पूरा अच्छा, very good. You are a good student. Very nice. फिर से पढ़ा आपने, last week में पढ़ा.
Yesterday I finished.
Very good.
Yes प्रभु जी पूरे वीक में 7 श्लोकास करके.
You are a good student. Very nice. ठीक है, चलो अच्छी बात है. So at least there are some students who have studied.
Yes,
But some students are not
I
studied.
also read Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Okay, very
I
good.
also read
You are also a
the
good student.
first
Fine.
chapter and
Very
a part of the second chapter also.
Very good. That is even more better. Very good. What about you, Janardhan ji? Have you read?
No, Prabhuji, sorry, I couldn't.
Okay. Why you didn't get time?
Back. No, I was on a pilgrimage also.
Okay.
3-4 days.
But anyway, try to read this
Yeah, I
week.
went to Udupi and Mantralaya.
Okay, very good. Very good. No problem. Try to read this week
No,
because you
no,
started.
I was completing the 18th chapter,
Okay.
and then I didn't read the first chapter, Prabhuji. And now I'm going to going to start reading the first chapter again.
Please, please.
After completing 18th
Important
chapter.
because
Yes,
repeatedly
Prabhuji.
reading
Yeah.
is what is required for Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita,
Definitely,
that we have read sometime. Again, we didn't read.
No.
Because Bhagavad
No,
Gita
no.
requires repeated reading.
Every
Because
day.
subject matter is such that it requires repeated
Yeah.
reading for absorption. Only then you can.
Yes, Guruji.
move forward. I'm stressing on
Yes,
this very important question. Why? Because important point, because reading again and
Reading.
again.
Yes, Guruji.
Prabhupada says, if you can't understand something, read again.
Read again. Yes, Guruji.
So what
Again.
happens
Yes, Guruji.
when you read again? When your endeavor to know things is there, Krishna will reveal the knowledge.
Hari Om.
Because this knowledge is not that you can capture this knowledge. This is Divya Jnana, spiritual understanding. Spiritual understanding can only be manifest from our heart when you are sincere.
Absolutely, Guruji.
Guru and Krishna will manifest the knowledge, realization to us when you are sincere. You want to know, you want to know, you want to know. That sincerity is required. Otherwise, taking Bhagavad Gita and reading, even a small kid can read. But the realization which Krishna has to give, Prabhupada has to give, it depends on your sincerity. See, when you read means you are spending your quality time. You are spending your quality time for trying to understand in Bhagavad Gita the subject matter. Because first chapter is like the, you can say, the background. The whole Bhagavad Gita is depending on the first chapter.
First chapter.
So if you don't know first chapter properly, rest of the chapters you cannot able to relate. It's like, you have started seeing a movie, but initially 15 minutes you lost. The whole story line you will not be able to connect. Okay, I'm giving a very gross example. That's how it is. First chapter is like a very important chapter. Because people think first chapter में क्या है, कुछ नहीं है, भगवान नहीं बोलते हैं. तो second chapter से पढ़ेंगे. That sometimes people have this understanding. Anyway, first chapter is very important. It is called Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. Chalo. Anyway, I request all of you to read the first chapter also in today's assignment. And I'll whatever we complete is from second chapter today, whatever possible. That also you please read in the next coming week before next week session. Agreed?
Yes, Guru.
All of you?
Yes, Guru. Yeah.
Very nice.
It will be done, Guru.
Okay, good. When you're telling it will be done, I'll take it as done. Okay.
It will be done, Prabhuji.
Very good. Thank you so much for the assurance.
Yeah. It
only
is
for
your
your good.
direction and it is a 9-1 means directive.
Yes.
So we'll follow.
Yes. It is only for your good. Okay. Chalo. So let's start our discussions now with regard to the Bhagavad Gita's understanding. Okay. So today we'll be covering what happened? Second. Okay. So today we'll be trying to cover at least 30-40% of the second chapter, because second chapter is a very big chapter, and also second chapter is the essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so we'll try to understand as much as possible the given specified time, whatever we have. Second chapter is called Contents of the Gita Summarized. So all these discussions we are having by the inspiration of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, who has so mercifully given us Bhagavad Gita, translated and commented upon it, and given us this, so it's like, making the plate ready for us. Just you have to eat. Okay. That also, if you don't do, it is not fair on our part. Prabhupada has given the ready food, just you have to eat, and it will digest. Very tasty food he has given. Just we have to consume it, very nicely relishing it. Okay, so before we start with discussions on the second chapter, let us quickly recap on what we understood in the first chapter. First chapter was on the observation of the different armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. We understood that there are 4 people who are observing on this battlefield. The first person is Dhritarashtra, who is sitting in the palace of Hastinapura, who's actually blind by birth. So he has observation, rather he wants to have an observation of what is going on in the battlefield. So he asks his secretary, Sanjaya, what is going on in the battlefield? The war for fighting both my sons and sons of Pandu have assembled. What happened? Basically, Dhritarashtra's observation was he was in great anxiety. He was in great fear, thinking that the influence of the place of Kurukshetra, which is a religious place, may not happen on his sons, and they may not compromise with sons of Pandu. That was his observation. And next observation was from the Duryodhana side, who was very active on the battlefield. He was showing off as though he is very brave, and he has a very wonderful army and very able lieutenants and all these things, lieutenants and everybody. He has very big, supporting army. But there was a lot of fear in him, because he was afraid that Pandavas have somehow gathered a bigger, phalanxes of armies. So he was in that way worried. But nevertheless, he tried to hide his worry and went to his teacher Duryodhana and was, encouraging everybody. And he also went to Bhishma and trying to inspire him, or rather, motivate him. And seeing Duryodhana's situation, Bhishma motivated or inspired him by blowing his conch shell. This was Duryodhana's observation. Duryodhana's observation was completely political. And next, we also understood about Sanjaya, who is the spokesperson to Dhritarashtra. What is his observation? He is the one who is speaking the whole live, what is being happening on the battlefield, Kurukshetra battlefield. Live telecast, he is, giving his commentary to Dhritarashtra. So he's telling, actually, I'm seeing a lot of indications of signs of victory. Pandavas, a lot of victory signals are being seen, because Krishna himself, Madhava, who is the goddess of fortune, is on the side of Pandavas. And there is the conch shells held by Krishna and Arjuna are very transcendental. And in fact, Arjuna is on the chariot gifted by Agnideva, and the chariot of Arjuna also is marked with a flag of Hanuman, Lord Krishna's, Lord Rama's servant, who was always there with Lord Rama to help him, assist him. So that same pure devotee is there to again bless Arjuna, to help him. And like this, the sound coming out of the conch shells of the Pandava side shattered the hearts of Duryodhana and party. So these were the observations, and it is clear signal that the Kaurava side will be defeated, right? He didn't tell it directly, but indirectly he gave indications. And finally, we also saw the observations of Arjuna. What did he observe? Basically, he who came to fight there was overwhelmed by seeing his own people, his own relatives, kinsmen, Swajana, and he gave various reasons why he should not fight. Because he became overwhelmed with compassion. He was telling, how can I enjoy this kingdom without our own people? Maybe they are very sinful. How can we be sinful? Who know everything, all dharma shastras. And fighting like this will only bring destruction to the whole family, society, country. It'll it'll destroy the family tradition, and women will become polluted, and children born will be unwanted. Like this, many reasons he gave. And finally, he was very indecisive with regard to fighting. This is what we understood in our previous chapter. First chapter, this is what we understood. Apart from these four observers, there is one more observer. Who is that? Anybody? Any guess?
Krishna himself.
Yes, exactly. Excellent. Krishna himself sitting in the heart of everybody. And also standing in the chariot, on the chariot of Arjuna. He is observing everything. Krishna is always observing. From our very birth in this body, he has been observing. This Krishna is going to tell us in 13th chapter. Upadrishta Anumanta. He has been Upadrishta, he has been overseeing, observing us, and sanctioning also what you deserve based on your desires. So like this, Krishna is observing. He has observed everybody. Based on our various desires, various aspirations, Krishna is trying to fulfill them, provided we deserve them. Accordingly, Krishna arranges various karmas for us, and he will try to fulfill our various desires. So if you desire to serve Krishna, most important service is, if you desire to read Bhagavad Gita, Krishna will fulfill that desire. So you should make a desire today. Now, I will read first chapter and second chapter, whatever is covered, by next week, before 20th of January. Make this desire. Krishna will fulfill. Because when you do desire for his service, Krishna will be very happy. Otherwise, after session is over, busy with our own works. TV serial mein kya aa raha hai? Tomorrow I have to go for a wedding program. Sunday, very busy. Whole day we have some, parties, programs, functions. Like this whole week will go. Again, Friday comes. Oh, Friday has come. So this should not happen. So make a decision, commitment that I have to read. Krishna, please help me. Krishna is observing, and he is there to sanction also. Provided you have a strong desire. Prabhupada gives a nice example. See, a thief want to steal. You want to go to a house and you want to do stealing in a house. And he's praying to Krishna, please allow me to steal in this house. And the house owner is praying to Krishna before he's going to rest. Nobody should come to my house and steal from my house. So whom should Krishna decide or allow? Whether he should allow the thief or the house owner. Whosoever desire is strong, it will be fulfilled. Okay, whosoever desire is very strong, I want to do it, determination, Krishna will sanction. So you may say, Prabhuji, how can Krishna sanction stealing? It's wrong, no? Yes, it is wrong. But what to do? You are so stubborn. You are so stubborn that I want to do it, Krishna. I want to steal. And your desire is so intense. Other person, house owner, he didn't pray sufficiently. Just he folded his hands and just prayed once only. Okay, no thief should come with no feeling. So Krishna allowed this thief because his intention and desire and his karma was such that he deserved to steal. So like that it is. So, what great intention and desire you're going to do service to Krishna matters. Okay, it's very important instruction in the whole Bhagavad Gita. So the second chapter is actually going to deal with this very topic of Krishna. No, Krishna is known as Rishikesha. Rishikesha means one who knows, one who is the master of all our senses. Rishika means senses, Isha means master. So our senses are actually not ours. What you are thinking, this body, this eyes, ears, nose, hands, legs, it is not ours. It is given by Krishna. Why? How do you know this? Because when I, who am telling myself, leaves this body has all the senses, everything, not working, not speaking, not responding. So in whose body it is? Not my body. It's Krishna given body. Actually, I am living in a rented house. This body is a rented house. You have to understand this. So rented house, you have to listen to the owner. Correct? Whatever owner says, you have to abide by the rules. But we are assuming that I am the owner. I can do whatever I want. But anytime, body will not actually cooperate with you. If Krishna wills, he can withdraw your speaking power anytime. When there is paralysis, what happens? You want to lift your hand, but you cannot lift. You want, but Krishna has not sanctioned. Likewise, Krishna says later on in the Bhagavad Gita, the life of everybody is I am, the prana vayu. So Krishna's energy is there within us. That's why we are able to animate, do actions and work and do so many things. This aspect we have to understand. So this Rishikesha, master of the senses, is observing every moment to moment. What is our decision? What is our intention? Very important. Your intention is towards serving him. Then Narada Muni says, Rishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchyate. That is called bhakti. If you can serve the master of the senses with the senses given by him to you, that is called bhakti. If you do otherwise, we'll only create so many names and designations. Upadhi. Sarva upadhi. I am a big man, I am a politician, I am an industrialist, I am an intelligent person, I am a man, I am a woman, I am a housewife, I am this, I am that. 101 things you have designations. I am very old, I am dull, I am so many things we say, take up all these designations. So Narada Muni says, Sarva upadhi vinirmuktam. We have to be free from all these designations because none of these designations are you. Your spirit soul engaged within this body. So this basic understanding Krishna is going to give to Arjuna, because in the first chapter what happened is Arjuna has actually got completely bewildered by seeing his own family members. He's thinking they are my people, and if I kill them, so many untoward incidents are going to happen. And I'll be responsible for this. They are my people. They are, my relatives. The attachment for the family, attachment for the society is what has made Arjuna speak like an ordinary person. Actually, Arjuna is not an ordinary person. Arjuna is a pure devotee. But just for the sake of seeing that Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is playing this role as an ordinary person like you and me. That is the whole background, right? And one more thing we see in Bhagavad Gita first chapter is, here and there Arjuna is expressing his spiritual qualities of a devotee. It's a very important observation we should see in the first chapter. Why? Is because He's actually a devotee, but he's playing the role. Just like in drama. What happens in drama? You are playing the role of a king. And as a king, you have to play that role in a proper way. For whatever reason, while playing the role of a king, you suddenly remember some other incident in your real life. Then that may, affect your playing that role. That's what was happening with Arjuna. Once in a while, that Prabhupada points out. Very important observation we should see in the first chapter. And this continues in second chapter also in the initial verses. So basically, this is only indicating that as spirit soul, we have spiritual qualities. Those spiritual qualities are now covered. It's like the white bright light is covered with some colored cloth, which is coming from a source. What happens? The white light will not be white. It will look colored, whatever color, maybe yellow cloth you're putting in front of the white light, the light will be yellow. So right now, our spirit soul is covered or encaged within this body. This body is given to me based on my desires, based on my karma. And through this body, the spirit soul is trying to express its desires, spiritual desires, but by the time it is coming out as actual desires, it is colored. So this coloring is what is happening by Krishna's energy known as three modes. More we'll understand as we move forward, but just giving you some basic understanding of what Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita. So our understanding, our thinking, our feeling, our emotions, our every aspect, our intelligence is all colored now. So Krishna wants us to come out of this colored way of functioning and become pure. See from the right perspective. The whole Bhagavad Gita is meant to give us this vision, this perspective, what you are actually. I am thinking I am this body. This is a wrong understanding, colored understanding. You are not this body, your spirit soul. Right? So like this, from the very beginning, Krishna is going to give us the right perspective. We have one colored perspective, means some distorted perspective, wrong perspective. So that perception we have to change to the right perception. That is Krishna's endeavor from the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Because all of us are going through this wrong paradigm in life. Okay, so let's begin our second chapter discussions. So as I told you, chapter 2 is called Contents of the Gita Summarized, because in this chapter, the entire subject matters, whatever Krishna is going to speak, is completely summarized. So what are we going to read in this second chapter? To briefly tell you, initially 10 verses, we're going to see the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna continuing. After this, towards the end of the 10th verse, Arjuna surrenders to Krishna as a disciple, and Krishna starts instructing. So Bhagavad Gita has three subject matters: Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga also means Bhakti Yoga. So these are the three main topics covered in Bhagavad Gita. And this is what Krishna systematically explains in the in this chapter in three different sections. The Jnana Yoga aspect, basically, it is also known as Sankhya Yoga, wherein analysis of what I am actually as spirit soul, what is my constitution is explained. And further, as spirit soul, what I am supposed to be doing is explained. And in the fourth section called Buddhi Yoga, Krishna explains actually spirit soul's real function is what. And practically speaking, when you're in the material world, what is that you're supposed to be working in what way? Knowing that this is what you're supposed to be doing as devotional service to Krishna in material world, how we should function is what is going to be the last section, wherein the qualities of Sthita Prajna is going to be explained. Okay, this is the overview of the second chapter, complete overview. So the first chapter in Mahabharata, it is mentioned as Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Okay, Arjuna Vishada. Arjuna is lamenting. Similarly, in Mahabharata, the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita is known as Sankhya Yoga, because there's analysis of many subject matters in this chapter. But when we hear these chapter names as given by Prabhupada, this is not his coining of the words, this is parampara understanding. In fact, towards the end of this chapter, 72nd verse, Prabhupada mentions that one of our acharyas, whose name is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, has summarized the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as being the summary of the contents of the whole text. So this is a parampara understanding which we have to take. Bhagavad Gita has to be understood not independently, it has to be read through a devotee, pure devotee. Very important. So these titles of these chapters are very apt, just like we understood the first chapter is actually observing the armies on the battlefield. What all observations are happening from each of them. Similarly, second chapter, we see the entire contents, the whole contents of the Gita are summarized in this second chapter. Everything, whatever you see in second chapter, later on the same subject matters will be elaborated some more. Everything is touched upon in second chapter. This is the way Krishna has spoken Bhagavad Gita so wonderfully. This is the way we have to speak. First, you have to see set the background, give the background of the context of your speech. Then later on, you have to give the complete, what you're going to speak actually. That you have to speak. Then you have to start speaking. And again, 18th chapter, Krishna is going to summarize whatever he has spoken. So first, second, and 18th chapters are having contents like this. So the actual Bhagavad Gita is from 3rd to 17th chapters. The descriptions. Okay. So now let's start with our discussions. Verse after verse, I hope all of you have kept your copy of Bhagavad Gita in front of you. As we start reading, I'll start explaining briefly. Let us move forward. So this is verse number 1. Sanjaya is telling, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana, Krishna spoke the following words. Towards the end of the first chapter, what did we hear? Arjuna spoke many things, gave many reasoning, why I should not fight. The very person who was holding his bow and arrows, he kept aside the bow and arrows and he sat down on the chariot, and his mind was overwhelmed with grief. Right? Shoka samvigna manasa. That was end of first chapter. So the second chapter begins with Sanjaya describing the situation of Arjuna, that like this, Arjuna, full of compassion, tam tatha kripaya vishtam. And he is also very sorrowful, vishidantam. And he's crying practically. This is the situation of Arjuna. He was crying in the battlefield in front of everybody. And with this, he was simply sitting, and Krishna starts speaking. Madhusudana, Krishna spoke the following words. So what did Krishna speak? Sri Bhagavanu Vacha. Very important to note this. Here, Vyasadeva is trying to tell us that Krishna is not telling Krishna Vacha. With Arjuna Vacha or Sanjaya Vacha, directly person name is addressed. But with Lord Krishna, it is addressed as Sri Bhagavanu Vacha. The Supreme Person Bhagavan said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the progressive values of life. They do not lead to higher planets, but to infamy. Here we have to understand one important point. Now, the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna is that of friends. Friendship. When one friend is emotionally very weak or has become emotionally down, other friend will try to cheer him up. So as a friend, Krishna is seeing, oh, my friend Arjuna is become so weak, or rather he's become so morose, so sorrowful. So he's trying to cheer him up by sort of giving him some chastisement. Hey, what is this? What are you doing? How this type of behavior you're having? It's like friends speak, in a very equal terms. That is what we are seeing here in this verse number 2. So Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? Which means you are actually a Kshatriya and you are Aryan. Very nicely, Arjuna is addressed as Aryan. But you are Aryan means one who knows the values of life. One who knows what is the purpose of life. That is meaning of Aryan. But you are behaving as though you are non-Aryan, Anaryan. And the way you are behaving is not going to give you any good destination. Asvargyam. Asvargyam means you'll not get higher planets by doing this. It will only lead to Akirtikaram. It's only going to give you infamy, Arjuna. It's not good. Basically, Krishna is trying to somehow cheer him up as a friend and try to make him understand, what are you doing? It is not good for you. Not good for, actually, I'm your friend and it is like, not good. And I'm standing here as, to help you as a chariot driver and you're just sitting down like this. Get up, get up, get up. Like this. That is what Krishna's whole mood is. Now, the next verse. The mood of Krishna continues with regard to, cheering up his friend and in a friendly manner. Klaibyam masma gama partha naitotayupad padyate kshudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktvottishta parantapa. O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading importance. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. So, indirectly, rather directly, Krishna is pointing out, Partha, Arjuna, you are acting like an important eunuch. Don't do like this, because I am your good friend, and the Kshatriya doesn't give you any such honor for you to do like this. It's not at all proper. Please get up. Don't have this weakness of heart like this. Get up and fight. Like this, he's trying to encourage him. So this is happening on the level of friendship. Now, hearing these words of Krishna, what does Arjuna tell? So Arjuna is telling, O killer of Madhu, Krishna, how can I counterattack with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona who are worthy of my worship? If you remember in first chapter, Krishna, when he was ordered by Arjuna to draw the chariot between the two armies, Krishna purposely brought the chariot and made it stand before Drona and Bhishma. Here we get the reason, because Krishna as Rishikesha, he could understand the mind of Arjuna, because he was too much having respect and attachment towards these two personalities. So now these words are coming out from Arjuna directly, that how can I attack with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona, who are all worthy of my worship. So indirectly, Arjuna is telling Krishna, do you also attack your guru, Sandipani Muni, or do you also attack your grandfather, Ugrasena? You are only attacking your enemies, but they are not my enemies. They are my worshipable personalities. Right? This is the logic Arjuna is giving. So further, Arjuna is telling, I think it is better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though they are avaricious, they are nonetheless superiors. If they are killed, our spoils will be tainted with blood. So again, Arjuna is giving his own reason and logic that what achievement we're going to get, Krishna. Better will be that I will do begging and live. Let me give up all this fighting and go away from this battlefield. What we're going to achieve by killing such great Mahatmas, Mahanubhavan, even though they may not have that sense of not fighting, but why we should lose our good sense, right? That's Arjuna's logic. Further, he says, now he's confused. He's telling, now do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them? The sons of Dhritarashtra, whom if we killed, we should not care to live, are now standing before us on this battlefield. So this again shows Arjuna's saintly character, how when devotees are seeing, even sometimes people do blaspheme them or insult them or even harm them, but devotees' nature is that they don't want to give it back or counterattack. This particular nature, as I told you, once in a while Arjuna was expressing his real spiritual nature. So as from the parampara understanding, Prabhupada makes us understand, actually Arjuna is a devotee, so naturally he doesn't want to fight, but as a duty he's supposed to be doing, and also he's playing the role of an ordinary person. So this sort of logic and reasoning and many other points of arguments which is trying to put forward is how we also put forward when we have situations of great perplexity or situations of great confusion in our life. We try to do this, try to do that, figure out something, do something. Oh, we have to come out of this problem. Right? This is what Arjuna is trying to do now. Right now in front of me, there are two great personalities, Bhishma, Drona, and all others are all my relatives, Krishna. And fighting with my own relatives means I cannot tolerate, my heart doesn't allow me to do this. Right? If you remember, Arjuna was telling, my mind is reeling. From my hand, Gandiva is slipping away. I can see only frustration in my expectations. Viparitani, nimittani cha viparitani Keshava. Like this, Arjuna was, totally in a situation of complete bewilderment. What to do, what not to do. And he's speaking words like as though, oh, what to do? I'm very confused. This happens to all of us in situations of, some great anxiety, some great shock, right, in our life. So how to handle this is what we're supposed to understand from this particular episode. In fact, this whole initial 10 verses are the turning point for Arjuna's life, or even for that matter for our life, because we should know how to tackle the problems, how to tackle the different challenges which come up in life. Because we try to solve the problems ourselves, which Arjuna was trying to do this right now, which is not possible. Trying to solve problem on our own is highly impossible. It will only lead to more and more confusion, right? So at that point of time, what we should do, Arjuna now is going to teach us, to all of us, how to move forward in our life. So verse number 7, the next verse is going to tell us how to move forward. So verse 7, very important verse. You can say it is a turning point verse in Bhagavad Gita for Arjuna. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of weakness. In this connection, I am asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So this is the situation which all of us will go through in our life. Confusion, bewilderment, weakness of heart. Prabhupada says this is how the material world is. Material world is full of perplexity. It's very puzzling to everybody. What is going to happen next moment? We don't know. This life is complete darkness. Nobody knows about the next step in our life, what is going to happen. That's how our life is. So this makes us to take example. This actually should become a great inspiration for us to see that we have a guide in our life. We have a torchlight in our life. That torchlight is what is known as spiritual master. So Arjuna, he submitted himself as a disciple of Lord Krishna. Until now, the relationship was friendship. Friendship. I speak something, you speak something, and both of us, go on with different talks. That will never end. But as soon as Arjuna understood it is not going to, solve my problem, so immediately he surrendered to Krishna, because Krishna is the Jagat Guru. He is supreme master. So Krishna will take up the role of a spiritual master, and Arjuna is going to conduct himself as a disciple now. So when this relationship is there, the master will instruct the spiritual instructions to his disciple. That's how Bhagavad Gita begins. So this is an important instruction for all of us, that in our life, if we go on without any spiritual master, we will be confused. We will be bewildered. We will be perplexed. Right? Prabhupada says the biggest perplexity in our life is that we don't understand the problems of life. What are the real problems of life? Real problems of life is Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Prabhupada quotes from the one of the Upanishads. He says, a person who doesn't solve these problems of life, he is a Kripana. Kripana means a miser. Because he has asset of human form of life. He doesn't understand this, that this human life is meant to solve this problem of life. So when you don't use this asset of human life to solve the problems of life, then you will simply waste your life. Again, you'll get one more life which may not be a human form again. Right? So better you wake up and take up this role of solving the problems of life. That is why you got this human form of life. So for that, you need a spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master. So the whole Bhagavad Gita is telling us, directing us, that you need to have a spiritual master in your life, a guide who can navigate your life in the ocean of this material world, Bhava Sagara. Otherwise, you're lost. You don't know where to go, what is going on in your life. You're simply leading your life in your own way. Your thinking, your actions are all misdirected. You need a guide. That spiritual master is actually a representative of Krishna, which we'll understand as we move forward. So here we can get an important instruction that all of us are confused, perplexed in life. So we need a spiritual guide, spiritual master. And Arjuna is showing by his practical example that he surrendered to Krishna because he was confused about his duty. Samudha Cheta. I'm confused, Krishna, what to do? Please tell me definitely what is the perfect way to act now. He gives further reasoning in the next verse, in verse number 8. I can find no means to drive away this grief, which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to destroy it, even if I win an unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. He's telling the way I'm going through, the situation I'm going through, Krishna, is very terrible. Even if I get an unrivaled kingdom, means no enemy is there, no other person is going to bother me, but I cannot handle this. Even I get complete sovereignty in Swarga Loka, I don't know whether I can solve the problem I'm going through. It's a very terrible problem I'm going through. So, like this, Arjuna spoke, and Sanjaya is speaking to Dhritarashtra, telling what happened, what is happening. Having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight. Na yotseti Govinda, and fell silent. So his expression of sitting on the chariot crying was basically this, that I don't want to fight, Krishna. I want to go away from this battlefield and actually do bhiksha. Right? So and when Arjuna spoke like this, further Sanjaya is telling, O descendant of Bharata, is addressing Dhritarashtra. At that time, Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. So we have to understand, in Bhagavad Gita, there are two parallel conversations happening. Do not get confused. One conversation is between Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya. Sanjaya is narrating the whole Bhagavad Gita to Dhritarashtra. And the one more conversation happening is between Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna is asking questions, Krishna is answering them. Right? So this is how the scriptures are, constructed, or it is, it is presented. Even Bhagavatam, at least in Bhagavad Gita, you only see two conversations. In Bhagavatam, you see multiple conversations happening. So you'll get confused. Why did Suta Uvacha came here? Suddenly Narada Muni came. Suddenly somebody is speaking. You'll get confused. So no confusion. Actually, it's all very clear. It's like, movie is going on and hero is speaking. And after some time, villain will come. He will speak. And some other character will come. He will speak. Everybody has to speak. But overall, there's a movie going on. Right? That's how it is. The whole Bhagavad Gita's way of presentation is to make it very dramatic and give us the, that whole feeling of an episode being going on. Just now, like how we see Arjuna is so much grief-stricken and he's feeling that, oh, I have to kill my relatives, I have to kill my friends. Krishna, Mahanubhava, Bhishma, Drona standing, how can you kill them? Better I go and do begging. And I confuse Krishna what to do. I'm surrendering to you, Krishna. Like this, this whole very emotional situation has been created. Then what happened? You'll be thinking. That's how it is. It is very nicely presented in this way so that we understand and we want to know more. Otherwise, simply, okay, you're not the body or spirit soul. What is there to know more? Right? Whereas it is dramatically presented, it creates curiosity. It creates a sense of, trying to know more. What happened next? What happened after that? After that? So like this, Bhagavad Gita is very nicely presented. So now, with this completion of 10 verses, we'll just quickly go through the summary of what we have understood just now. So the talks are between Krishna and Arjuna. And when Krishna saw the situation of Arjuna, he was very surprised. In fact, how can my friend do like this? So he started telling, actually, you are Arya, but you're behaving like an Arya. And your actions are going to bring infamy, akirtikaram, and it's all because of your weakness of heart. And Arjuna also, while speaking, he is expressing his devotional qualities, as I told you, soft-heartedness, and he's trying to he's trying to reason and logic, give his logic why I should not fight. That great personalities are standing here, and he says, it's not our culture to fight with the elders or fight with the relatives like this. So like this, he's giving many reasoning, right? So all these aspects show that Arjuna is a devotee and is having complete control over his senses. But also we can see one more aspect of Arjuna playing the role of being confused, perplexed, himself as a disciple, and he surrenders to Krishna, and he wants to know what is that I'm supposed to be doing, right? So this completes the first 10 verses. Okay, so shall we continue or shall we conclude?
Up to you.
7:25 already. We have taken a lot of time.
It is up to you.
Up to me. I can continue for next 2 hours also. But you should be ready.
Then continue.
You may think, what is this, Prabhuji? Movie to abhi shuru hua hai. Abhi movie khatam ho gaya. If you're thinking, then I can continue.
It is better to stop and we can go for the coming week, read it and then start again. That will be better.
Okay. Because
No point.
Yeah, I
just
also
going
agree with Prabhupada. Correct.
Because no point unless we read it and do it, then
very
sharing
important.
is, yes.
Because even though it is overview, I fully agree with you, because this requires absorption, because the way different things I told you is only here and there bits and pieces I have told you. But I want all of you to get into this whole mood. It's like when you see a movie, you are into that movie. You identify with the characters, right? That's how the movie is made. And you identify characters means you start, feeling the emotions of the characters, practically. Similarly, you should start feeling the emotion of Arjuna, right? What he's going through, because in all our lives we have gone through different difficult situations, trying circumstances, right? So it is important to reflect upon that, and because Bhagavad Gita is not simply book of philosophy, it is a book of practical living, wherein it is not simply Gyan, it is Vigyan. Vigyan means what you can actually practice in your life, right? So in that way, understanding Bhagavad Gita systematically, slowly, also is very much recommended. And from the beginning, you understand Gita nicely, then the rest of the chapters will become very easy to know, because you understand the context very nicely. Okay, so good. So then I'll conclude here. As long as anybody has any questions or comments on whatever we discussed today, I can take a few questions and we'll close for today. Okay. Any questions? Any comments? Okay. So the assignment will be to continue reading every day.
So, Prabhuji, that I was just also going through the book that Gura Kesha. What is that significant of that word?
Gudakesha. Gudakesha is the name being addressed to Arjuna. Gudakesha basically means one who has conquered sleep. One more meaning is one who has conquered over ignorance. Okay. So Arjuna is being addressed as Gudakesha to make us understand that he is actually a devotee of Krishna who has conquered over ignorance. Krishna is called Rishikesha. Arjuna is called Gudakesha. Okay. So basically, these are all different names of Arjuna and Krishna being addressed throughout the Bhagavad Gita in different ways to give us the particular, in that particular context, it has a significance, being addressed in that way. Right? Krishna, when he's addressed as Madhava, in that particular context of Sanjaya be telling that it only means, oh, he's such an opulent personality, he's the husband of goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi. And he is there on the battlefield. What else is required for Arjuna? All the opulence is there. All the wealth is there. Likewise, with Krishna, anybody can be there means only his devotees can be there. Nobody can associate with Krishna because Krishna is Supreme Lord. Just like when you say, Secretary of President of India, not an ordinary person. He must be qualified. So likewise, Gudakesha basically means it is the name being addressed to Arjuna to indicate that he is actually above ignorance, but he is playing the role of an ignorant person as of now to see that Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita to all of us. That is the proper import of this word Gudakesha. Okay. Any other question?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Fine. So we'll close for today. So the assignment from today up to next Friday is that you have to read the 46 verses of previous chapter and also the 10 verses what we have covered today. So that makes it 56 verses. 56 divided by 7 is how many?
8 verses per day.
Adding, increasing. 7 has become 8. Anyway, not simply reading verses, you read the purports. Purport means after you read the translation, read the purport. Try to understand what is the message. The purport is actually having the understanding of what this verse is trying to communicate to us. What is the message? What we have learned from this is what purport is being explained. Purport is explaining all these aspects in the whole Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, people say, I read Bhagavad Gita. But if you ask them, what did you read? Oh, I read the verses. No, that is not the important thing. I'll give you a very nice incident. Prabhupada was in one of the American cities named Dallas. So in Dallas, there was a Gurukula earlier. So the devotees there is 1974, I'm talking times. So they were all, initially that they're all newly joined, and all of them had somehow made a practice that every day from morning till night, they will take up one Gita shloka. And any time after every program, say Mangalarti is over, somebody will chant the mantra, one shloka very loudly, everybody can hear, and they repeat. Before prasadam, they repeat this mantra. Like this whole day, around 15-20 times, they repeat this one shloka of Bhagavad Gita, same shloka. So by the time end of the day, they would memorize this shloka fully. So like this, day by day, they were trying to see that Bhagavad Gita's all shlokas they're trying to understand, or rather memorize. Not understand, memorize. So it so happened that Prabhupada Prabhupada was planning to visit that place one fine day in July of 1974. So these devotees were very impressed. Rather, they were very very happy, and rather also they wanted to see that the Gurukula children who are there, they were training them also to chant these slokas of Bhagavad Gita, right? So they used to chant every sloka one after the first chapter, second chapter, like that. So as soon as Prabhupada entered that center, that temple, all of them started telling Dhritarashtra Vacha, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveta, Yuts. Like this, they go on, started telling the verse, first verse, second verse, third verse. So third sloka, like this, went on for 10 slokas. So they're all thinking Prabhupada is very, very impressed with us. He's hearing. Prabhupada immediately stop. 11th sloka, they're able to tell, stop. Then he asked one kid, do you know what is the meaning of this 10th sloka? Everybody is looking at each other. Nobody knew the meaning at all. So Prabhupada says, rather than like this parrot chanting, you know the meaning of what you're chanting. Prabhupada said. So this is the important aspect. So we are not, some Vedic mantra chanters. That, I know the verse. I know it so well. I can chant very well. But meaning, you don't know. That is not the important aspect. You know the meaning, you don't know the mantra also doesn't matter. Krishna never says in Bhagavad Gita, if you chant or if you memorize all the slokas I have given you, you will go back to Godhead. Krishna has never said this. Krishna has rather said, if you do bhakti to me, you will go back to Godhead. What is bhakti? Understanding the whole message of Bhagavad Gita, essence of it, and practicing it in our life. If you simply like parrot like chanting, no point, because there are so many big scholars. And sometimes we see many times, people, I know Bhagavad Gita. What do you know? I know so many slokas. What is the meaning of them? I don't know. And are you following in life? Rarely I follow, because I don't know the meaning. Parrot like chanting, what is the use? Prabhupada gives a nice incident. How? When there is some danger, this parrot will be chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. When suddenly somebody catches its neck, that Hare Krishna will go and start killing. So, when during your difficulty or during your happiness situation, you should only chant Hare Krishna. Right? Only for showing off. I know so many slokas. I know that. This is not the way of devotional life. Okay, you know slokas, Krishna's mercy, but you should know the meaning and follow them. First, one is to know the meaning, that is called Gyan. Second is to follow them in our life. Very important. That is called Vijnana. That is the whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita. Not simply knowing. It's like, telling, I know I have to go to a doctor when I am not well, when I am diseased. I know. But when I am not well, actually, I don't go to doctor. What is the use of that knowledge? As good as not having. That's the point. So, the whole message of Bhagavad Gita is to bring us to action. Krishna never spoke Arjuna, Bhagavad Gita, okay, Arjuna, you're a big scholar, you're a big Pandit, so listen to me, what I am telling you. Both of us have free time on the battlefield. You let us have some time pass. This was not the purpose. Okay? This purpose of speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna was telling, no, I will not fight. Krishna gave him nicely with nice knowledge, such a way that immediately Arjuna said, Krishna, whatever you have spoken, I will, I'll follow and I'll fight now. He got up and fight. That is the whole point. That is called dependency on Krishna. Prabhupada explains, dependency on Krishna doesn't mean sit idle. Krishna never said to Arjuna, you sit on the chariot, I will fight on your behalf. Krishna, in fact, instructed Arjuna to get up and fight for Krishna. That is called dependency. You depend on Krishna and you do your actions of devotion. That is the whole message of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so Bhagavad Gita has a very wonderful and very deep message and understanding, which slowly as we go through, it will be revealed by Krishna and pure devotee Srila Prabhupada. Just that we have to somehow become attached to Bhagavad Gita, reading Bhagavad Gita, trying to understand Bhagavad Gita. Then Krishna will reveal the knowledge. Okay, so with this, I conclude today's session. Hope that all of you will read every day. Practice this, develop this habit of reading. Very important. Okay, so now 8 verses every day. Because the way we are going forward, I tell you, in next 4 or 5 months, you will read the whole Bhagavad Gita. You want to do that? Then please attend this session. If you don't want to do, this will be your last session. It will not be good. What to do? Simply you'll be sitting for you will not be understanding anything. Because movie to shuru ho gaya hai. Movie ke andar aap nahi ja rahe. Don't be inside the movie, then what is the point? Right. So otherwise you will have your own movie going on in your mind. One more movie, parallel movie. What is the use? That's the point. So let us become serious in our life with regard to taking up Gita's knowledge, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita towards the end, one who studies Bhagavad Gita, study, not read, study Bhagavad Gita. Study means carefully going through every detail. Krishna says he is worshipping me by his intelligence. Just see, this is what Krishna concludes in 18th chapter. One who is studying Bhagavad Gita, he is actually worshipping me by his intelligence. Just see. So this is the way Krishna is trying to tell us. Adhyeshyate cha ya imam. Adhyayana. Adhyayana means what? Study. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation worships me by his intelligence. 18th chapter, 70th verse. Okay. So please, if you want to worship Krishna, read Bhagavad Gita every day. Over. Worship is over. And chant Hare Krishna. Over. Your worship, you become devotee, everything done. Okay. So let's conclude here. Thank you, everybody. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, brothers.